よいしょ、はい。
はい。
これも入ってます。
入ってます。
あ、やっぱハートつか諦めるわ。一旦
吸い取るな。
じゃあやっていきますか。
はーい。
あ。
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month.
このゲーム、ナレーションが喋ってる間、喋らん
Although others might
縛
have
りやと
considered it so
だいぶ喋れへんくなるから
Stanley
適当に
relished
喋っていいと
every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
ネギさんだ、こんばんは。
こんばんは。
And then one day, something very peculiar happened.
神ゲーは
Something
神
that
ゲー
would
です。
forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
あ、こっからですね、じゃあ始まるの。
そこです。
なるほど。なんか触
スタンリー
れたりとかす
の自我を
るんですか？
持つのが割と早い部類やった。触れるやつもあると思う。
動きめちゃくちゃ速いな、これ。
設定で変えれる？
あれ変えれたっけ？
わからん、わからん。変えれるっていう質問。
わからん。コントロールの速さって設定変えれんかった気がするな。カメラ感度は下げたけど、一応。
カメラ感度じゃないしな。
ちゃうかなと思って下げたけど。
なさそうですね。
めちゃくちゃ速いけど大丈夫そう、これ。ちなみに。
歩きと走りを切り替えるみたいなのなかった今設定に。
あ、マジで？
わからん。あ、一般のとこやと思う。一般の下の方。
あ、オートーク。違うな。
ここ音停止か。ごめん。
じゃあ、このちょっとめっちゃ足速いってことでやっていこう。
早いんかもしれない。早い
けど。あ、じゃあ出るか。どこに行けばいいんですか？
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
会議室どこ？
どこやろな。まあ扉開いてるし。
あ、こっちか。会議室ってどこや？番号振られてんのちゃんと。めっちゃ早い。
大丈夫そう？ゲームとしてやばそう？
大丈夫。めちゃくちゃ早い。これどっち？
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
左ってどっちや？多分こっち。
そっち。左右で戸惑いが発生する。
あ、すげえ暗い。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
しゃがみあるんや。
リングルーム。 RIP ってなんかちょっとあれじゃない？
ご冥福をお祈りしますとかそういう感じだった？
なんかお墓に刻まれてるイメージが。何の音さっきからこれ。
な。
何の会社？
せやな。
あれこれか。
ああ。
ソルビングインタ
が切り替わ
ー
ってんのか
パーソナルコンフリクト。
個人の問題を解決しますみたいな感じ？すごい抽象的やな。抽象的やな。
あ、でもよくあるよな、こういうさ、なんか、こう単語だけブワーって並んでるやつ。最近見たで、これ。
最近見たね。
あ、行くか。これ何？ to do あるけど。
トゥードゥやな。
なんか、写真めっちゃリアルじゃねこれ。
ほんまやな。
か。あ、階段。すげえ非
Coming
常
to a
階段っぽい。
staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
どこお、すげえ、なんか、高級感があるね、めっちゃ。
あるね。
何って書いてるこれ。あ、バスルーム。大丈夫？入って怒られへんこれ。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him, and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845.
これか。
But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
どこああ、そこか。あ、すごい、なんかすごい。写真がリアル。
入り口でかいの開いた。
すごいなんか、撮影現場の裏側みたいな。舞台裏みたいな。これ？
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
びっくりした。撃たれたんかと思ってよ、普通に。
海外の方って。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
マインドコントロール。エスケープ。
後にしよう、この話は。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
なんかすごいステージみたい。すげえ。照らされてる。あれやん、何やったっけ？ファッションショーの道みたいな。
わかるよ。言いたいことわかるよ。
待って、違うね。今ちょっと私、ちょっと。
じゃあ、この間に海外の方は結構、こんにちはとか一言言うて去っていかはる人が多いけど、いつも来てくれてありがとうございますという話を先にしておくわ。
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。ツイッターもフォローしてくれはったし。
待って、なんて言うんやったっけ、そのさ、道の名前をさ、ど忘れしてしまった。何やったっけっていうので今すごい気持ち悪い。
言うでいいやつ思い出すまで。ランウェイ。
あ、ランウェイ、そうや。そうそうそう。あ、そうや。あ、すげえ。
Their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
おるかな何やったっけ、なんか忘れちゃったもう番号。
427かな、多分。
これ。
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
盛り上がってきた。
すごいなんか
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable.
Never.
Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
What? What? 何？
まがまがしい。マトリックスがわからん。わからないです。ゲームのタイトルやったらザ・スタンリー・パラブルです。パラボ
ー。こっちか。触れへん系？あ、触れへんねん。あ、なんか色違う、確かにね、これ。
カラフルやね。
ここの色かわいい、めっちゃ。マインドコントロールズ。
アイドル。
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
オフにしろと。
早っ早っオフにしろとポチー寸分の迷いもな。
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his.
すげえ、自然がいい感じすぎる。
It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing.
じわじわ前。
Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way right now that
もうど
things
こマジ
were
で
meant to
なんか電
happen.
柱とかあんな。
And
前な。
Stanley was happy.
よかった、幸せになって。
is happy.
ハッピーエンドですね、じゃあこれは。
いやー、素晴らしい。
素晴らしい。
ハッピーエンドだ。
ハッピーエンド。やったー。
やったー。
すごいな。そんな、この幸せなエンド届けると思ってなかったから嬉しいわ、やっぱり。
The end is never.
ここから始まるんか、これ。
そういうことで、こっからが本番っすね。
All of his co-workers were gone.
ど
What
ういう
could
こ
it
とだ
mean?
ろう。どういうことだろう
Stanley
な。
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
さっき言ったけど、もう一回同じことするんで私、さっき言ったけど。
ないないない。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors,
いや、
he
まあ、好
entered
きにし
the
てくれ。
door on his
これ
left.
はマジで好きにするゲームやから。その好きにして、ムーさんが好きにしてんのを私は見たかったから。
Yet there was not a single person
もうあれ、
here
私
either.
RTA するで。
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to
Stanley
his boss.
RTA.
Coming to a staircase,
一
Stanley
旦ちょっ
walked
と同じ感じ
upstairs
でも
to
う一回や
his
るな。
boss's office.
はいはいはい。
何も変わらんねやったらもう。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human
忘
life.
れちゃった。
What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as
スタンリーは
quickly
一
as
刻も早くこの
possible,
話を
he
理解し
didn't
ようと
even
してい
have
た
a
のに。
single
彼は1
minute
分
to
たりとも
just
ナレー
let
ターに
the
話するようとし
narrator
ます。
talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy. So he
長いっ
relaxed
て
for
早
a
く
few
してよ
moments
ー。
with some calming new
落ち
age
着いた
music.
ニューエイジミュージックでもね、ちょっと聞いていただいて。
早くしてもらっていいですか？ RTA してるんですよ、こっちは。
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
あっちか。
冷静にね。現時点で神ゲーやもんな。
もうなんかあるんちな。なんもないな。あ、上押せた間違えて。あ、大丈夫か？いけんのか？あ、
大丈夫や。よかった
よか
よかっ。
ったよかったよかった。
やった上の階なさそうや。撃たれてる撃たれてる。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read
Escape だねな。
Mind Control Facility.
あるなぁ。至るところに分岐らしきものがあるから。
あ、無視してすいまーす。イエーイ。
イェーイ。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
RTA やな。今の走り出しは RTA やな。
せやろ。
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed.
あれか。
Each bore the number of an employee in the building. Stanley's
あの部屋や。
co-workers. The lives of so
なんか
many
暗くない？
individuals
そんなもん
reduced
か。
to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them,
私の部屋めっ
eternally
ちゃ暗く
monitored
ない？
in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be
引き出し
true.
だけの映してる
Had
ところなんな
Stanley
んだ
really
っけ？
been under someone's control all this time?
あったよ。
Was this the only
あれな
reason
んか
he
減っ
was
てる？
happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable,
やっぱ
wasn't it?
あれ、
Was
そ
it
んな
even
英語なんやな。
possible? Had he truly
Yeah.
spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
おいし
But
ょ
here
ー
was。the proof. The
Sure.
heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power.
一旦2周目な。まあ一旦2周目やる人初めて見たけど。
マジ？
Blackness
これって変わらん
and
の
a
じゃ、
rising
つまり。
chill of
わ
uncertainty.
からんわからん。
Was it over?
でも私が見たのは、ザ・スタンリー・パラブルなんで、ウルトラデラックスじゃなかったからな。
あ、買ったわ。
ワンチャンあるんかもし
He
れない。
had defeated the
あ、買っ
machine,
たわ。
unshackled himself from
買った。
someone else's command. Freedom was
シンプルに
mere
買ったな。
moments
あ、見えへ
away.
ん見えへん。暗い暗い。
And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved.
謎は謎のままでいいね
Where
んって。
had his co-workers gone? How had
わ
he
からん
been
ことは
freed
わからん
from
で
the
ことなんよ
machine's。
基本
grasp?
的に。
What other mysteries did this strange building hold?
新しい
But
時代
as
に始めよう。
sunlight
一緒に。
streamed into the chamber, he realized none of
そ
this
したらこの
mattered
ゲー
to
ムは
him,
もう終わんのよな。
for it was not
お疲れ
knowledge
様
or
でした。
even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had
この
not
ニ
been
ュ
to
ーエイジミュージックの
understand,
くだりめっちゃ好きやねん
but。to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel.
ああ、でもなんかすごいの
Whatever
どかじゃ
life
な
he
いなんか、
lives, it will
のど
be
かな風
his.
景って感じ。
And that
いい
was
な、こ
all
れ。
he
結
needed
構
to
自然
know.
豊かな山と
It
か
was perhaps
結構ある
the
し。
only thing worth
そう。
knowing. Stanley stepped through the
あれ、
open
パーキン
door.
グみたいな感じで横。
あ、ほんまやね。
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right
2
now,
周目的な要素はないん
things were
よ。
meant
あって
to
もいい気が
happen.
する、このゲームやと。
And Stanley was happy.
やったー、幸せになれたー。
やったー。
2回もさ、ちょっと幸せに。よかったねー。あ、じゃあ、
おはようございます
お。はようござい
All
ま
of
す。
his coworkers were
RTA
gone.
の走り
What
出し。
could it mean?
さすがにもう
Stanley
同じことす
decided
る
to
の
go
あれ
to
や
the
から。
meeting room.
何
Perhaps
回
he
目
had
あると
simply
かある
missed a memo.
いや、わからん。この、このエンディングに行くがあるかどうかは知らんけど、なんか何回も繰り返すみたいなのはあることもある。でそういう時間かかんのがこの配信内でできるとは思ってない。行ってみたい分岐は。
もう一回行きたいねんけど、普通に。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it.
スタンリーをどうしても
He
できなかっ
considered
た
the。possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post
やっ
during
ぱ
work
上司のや
hours.
つ勝って
He
入ったら
might
あ
be
かんからな。
fired for that.
あ
And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to
同
Stanley.
じとこくるくるし
Maybe,
ないそん
he
なこと
thought
ない
to
か。
himself,
もしかしたら、
maybe I am crazy.
もしかしたら自
All of
分が
my
狂ってしま
coworkers
ったのか
blinking
もしれない。
mysteriously out
見て
of
なかった全然ナレー
existence
シ
in
ョ
a
ン。
single moment
おい、
for no reason at all. None of it made any
何
logical
読み上げようか。
sense.
大丈
And
夫
as
です。
Stanley pondered
サムネ
this,
通
he
りにちゃん
began
と
あれ
to
これ
make
一
私
緒
が
several
だ
naration や
ね
ろう。
マジで
observations.
変わ
For
る
example,
ほんま
why
に
couldn't he see
例えば
his
なぜ
feet
下を向いて
when
も
he
自分の
looked
足元が
down?
見えないのだろ
Why did
あ見
doors
えない
close automatically behind him wherever he went?
それは思ってた。
And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar.
同
う。これ
じね、
らの部屋は
10
かなり
時
見慣れ
12じゃない
たものになり返
Yes,
している。
スー
Stanley
ツ
said
に
to
一緒や
himself,
で。
this is all
これ
too
どうしたらいい
strange. This
出
can't
たい
be
んやけど。
real. And at last, he came to the
でかかっ
conclusion
てた
that had been on the
マ
tip
ジ
of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it.
頼むわ、ちょっと。
I'm dreaming!
あ、ドリー
I'm
ミーか、
dreaming.
そっか
This
そ
is
っ
all
か。
a
得て、
dream.
ほんまにちょっと待って。
Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to
いい
lose
け
his
ど、ほん
job.
まに多
He
分同じと
wasn't
こじゃね
crazy
これ。
after all.
そんなことあ
He
る
thought to himself,
もう
I
すぐ目
suppose
覚め
I'll
る
wake
頼
up
むわ。
soon. I'll have to go back
よろしくお願いし
to
ま
my
す、ちょっ
boring
と。
real-life job pushing buttons.
ちょっと
I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
空を
Then
飛ぶ
he
ことを思い
imagined
つい
himself
た
soaring through space on a magical
意味わ
starfield,
からへんやろ。
and it too appeared. It was so much fun,
宇
and
宙
Stanley
だ
marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he
雪やと思った
remaining
普
so
通に。
lucid? And then perhaps the
宇宙の
strangest
話してたや
question
ん
of
け。
them
あ、して
all
た。
entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing
はい
and
はいはいはい
thinking?
はい。
Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange.
なんそ
I'm
れ
dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
目覚めそう？
無限に考え事しながら無限にやってる。
目覚めたけど同じ場所にいるね。どう考えても。
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I'm real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
What?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
誰やねん。急に来た。
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned.
そんなことなくない？多分なかなか。ほんま？
マリエラ。クレイジーエンド。
どこにいてんマジで。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stan.
CM の
forgotten about.
動画であったここ。
Stop trying to make every decision by
ナレー
yourself.
ションめっちゃ喋ってるけど、あんま聞いてなさそうでいいな。
I'm asking for
スタンリーも多分あんま聞いてないから。
This is it,
一回目聞
Stanley.
いてあげたからな、
Your
ちょっと。
chance to redeem
もうええか
yourself.
なと思って。
To put your work aside. To let her
暗
back
っ
into your life. She's been waiting.
黒え
That's her, Stanley.
ビビる
You
わ。
need to be the one to do this.
あ、出られへんや
To
んだってし
reach
かも。
out to
はいはい
her.
はいはい。何
If-
白
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right.
動けへ
Okay,
ん。
there we go.
あ、動け
All
へん
right,
ねや。
now, I want you to come in and tell me all about
Your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. Sorry, but you're in my
もうそういう最低だな、てめえ、本当に。見てやろうじゃねえか、じゃあ。
変えた。
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
なんて ?N?
N。
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
はい。
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly
快
what
速で
he's
押したら
told
見
to
とけ。
do. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's
セン
coming
さ
back
ん、こ
to
んばん
work.
は。
こんばん
One might even
は。
feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
あ、押せんが最速で。
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new
ディ
lands.
スカバリ
It
ー。
was wonderful.
ワンダ
And
フ
each
ル。
day that he returned to work was a reminder that
あ、
none
そう
of
そう、
it
来た
would
りする
ever
もしかして。
happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own
お
job.
え仕事部屋
First,
じゃん
he。imagined that one day while at work,
確かに。
he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his
これな
boss,
何を見たらいい
everyone
の
in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to two
これ
open
何が起
doors
こってんの全
and
然
that
わ
he
からんけ
could
ど。
go through either.
ナレーター
At
が
last,
スタンリー
choice.
という男の
It barely
死の
even
物語を
mattered what
喋っ
lay
てる。
behind each
あ
door.
あ、そういう
The
こ
mere
とあ、じゃあ
thought
何
that
もない
his
んや。視界
decisions
的
would
には、視
mean
覚的に
something
は。
was almost too wonderful to behold.
ないんちゃうわからん
何をす
けど。
るためって、ああ、はいはいはい。
As he wandered through
ああ、
this
仕事
fantasy
部屋なってる、
world,
めっちゃ。
he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind
さっき言ったところやん。
controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby.
ゲー
And
ム
he
はなかっ
called
た
it
けどな。
the Stanley Parable.
子供たちには見聞かせ。あい。
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could
おー、
there
椅子にな
possibly
っ
be?
た。こ
In reality, all he's
あ、
doing
こ
is
れで、
pushing the same
これで
buttons
そ
he
のまま変え
always
る。お
has.
変える
Nothing
の
has
これでじゃあ。
changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the
鉛
more he
筆削
forgets
れるや
which
ろ、こ
life
れ
is
で。
the real one.
せやな。
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an
え、
observer,
これいい
that
な。
as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing
書いてんのこれ。
himself. But he won't listen to me.
何でい
He
い
won't
ず
stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the
めっ
next
ちゃ
time
汚
a
れてね、
screen
このコッ
asks
プ。
you
洗
to
いたい。
push a button, do not do it. You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing
今ナレ
to
ータ
kill
ーが
himself.
次
How
ボ
can
タ
I
ン押
get
せっ
him
て
to
言われ
see
ても
what I
押すなよ
see?
みたいな
How
こと
can
言
I
うんだ
make
け
him
ど
look at
聞いてた？
himself?
聞いてたよ。
あ、聞いてたよ。
聞い
聞いてて
ま
押
I
す。
suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply
押
play
さ
to
な
my
進まんく
intended
ね？
purpose, the same as Stanley.
そ
進
We're
む
not
ん
so
すか
different, I
ね。てかなんで
suppsuppose.
今さ従わなあかん
I'll
のか分からん
try
けど。
once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must.
う。今
Perhaps,
スタンリー
well,
ほら。
maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again. And
え、
Stanley
何
pushed a
ボタン
button.
ないで。
And I tried.
はい、ちょ。
か。え？終わってないのかこれ。
ナレーターも喋らんな。
When Stanley came to a set of two
うわ、
open
こっからなん
doors,
よ。
this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge
これめっちゃ
first,
このラウン
just
ジいい
to
感じ、ほん
admire
ま
it.
に。綺麗。
Wow. Yes, this
Wow.
room. What a beautiful room. But eager to get back to
でも
business,
早く仕事に戻
Stanley
り
took the first open door
じゃ
on
あ
his
入ってあ
left.
げよう、こっちにな。
And so he detoured through the maintenance
Nani?
section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
ドアに入りました。
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He
しか
wanted
し
to wander
しかし
about and get even further off track. So now, in order to get back, he needed to go, from here, it's, left.
おい。
Oh, no.
おい、
No,
ふざ
it's
け
to the
んな。
right.
いかにしてんの。何考えてんねん。
No, no,
おーい、
no,
もうど
no,
こだよ、じゃあ。
Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking?
ここだろ。早
It's
く開けろ。
clearly... Okay, would you hold on for a minute, please?
少々お待ちいただけますか。
Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep. Okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
どっちか。あ、こっちか。
あ。
わーい。
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay.
ネタバレ
We
でーす。
just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this
早
nonsense,
く
we'll
済ま
just
して。
restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, hmm? Okay, from the top. All of his co-workers
お
were
ー、
gone.
ナレーター
What
先が
could
なか
it
ったんやろ。
mean? Stanley decided to go to the
た
meeting
ま
room.
にね、
Perhaps he had
ラ
simply
ンダ
missed
ム
a
イベン
memo.
ト的なのも存在した気がする。
ランダムイベントって、なんか、
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely
ほんまに
restarted the
再
game
起動
over
したんか、
completely
おい。
fresh.
絶対してないや
Everything
ろ。
should be...
おい、いい加減にしてくれ。ちゃんとしてくれ
なんか
よ。
変わったのかな。
Did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you
なん
move
か、
the
帰
story
ったんはそ
somewhere?
ちらで
Or...
はもし、
Hold on. Why
しっ
am
か
I
りし
asking
てよ、
you?
ちょっ
I'm the one who
と。
wrote the story. It was right here just a
ちょ
minute
っと
ago.
開かない
I
とい
know
け
for
ないんだけ
sure
ど、
it's here
私。
somewhere. Okay then.
あ、
It's an
冒険
adventure.
イエーイ
Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
ここ絶対行かれへんやん、ほんで。どこがいいかな。急に冒険だって言われても困っちゃうよ。ここ繋がってるか。どうしよっかな。どうしよう。
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever
So,
been on. I
そんな
can
こと言う？
promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the
ど
game
こや？待って、
again?
迷ったぞ。
Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
おお。
All of his co-workers were
3度目の
gone.
正直。
What could it mean?
さっき
Stanley
ドア閉
decided
ま
to
らん
go
か
to
っ
the
たもんな、
meeting
ガチャガ
room.
チャって。
Perhaps he had simply
確かに
missed
ね。
a memo.
ねえわ。
あ
扉ねえわ。
Okay, yep, it's worse.
ー。よし、
I
は
might
い、
be
もっとひどい
remembering
ぞ。
this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came
元の
from.
ところに戻
Why
っ
don't
て
we
る
go
可
back
能
the
性が
other
別の
direction
方向に
and see
戻
if
って
we
み
missed
ません
anything?
か？じゃあ戻してもろて。はーい。
はい。
開いてないんじゃない？あ、どこ？
Aha! I knew we'd miss something.
え
The story. Here it comes.
何を見落としたんか全然
No,
わかんない。
wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
おいおい、オフィスの中身を変えるな。
あーあーあー。
Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at
もちろん
all.
全く見、あ、
Is
ア
this
ト
the
リエっ
story?
ぽい
I
感
don't
じ。
think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct?
いや、間違ってると思いますよ。
Do you remember, Stanley?
なんか、
Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be
オ
doing,
フィスじゃなかったんじゃないかな、多分。
you win!
あー
Congratulations! I knew you put in a lot of
win.
hard work, and it really paid off. So, good job. Oh, no.
意味わからへんけ
No,
ど。
we can't worry about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
わあ、戻ってきた。
リスタ
変わってる。
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make
Adventure
sure
line.
we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that? You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought.
こんな変わるん
Wouldn't
やな、で
wherever
も
we
な。
end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa, 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 whoa.
じゃあ、じゃあに。
That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure
お
where I
ーい、
was
せ
going
っ
with
か
all
く
that.
来てんのになんで見失ってんだ
I think
よ。
what we need right
音
now
楽は
is a
今はい
bit
ら
of
ん。
music to lighten the mood.
うわ、すんげえ陽気やな。は？ここはどこ？
Cut the music. Go back and look at that fern. Wait, what?
戻って
We're
き
back
た
at the office? No. No.
あ、いろいろ
no.
とある
Line,
よ。
you do know we're looking for the Stanley
ど
Parable,
っち
right?
行くの？
The story? Is any of
あ、
this
帰ってき
ringing
た、
a
帰ってきた、
bell?
帰ってきた。
しちゃった。
あ、来たやん、ここ。
No, 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 not again.
さ
Line,
っき
how
下
could
に
you
な
have
かったっ
done
け、
this
こ
to
れ。
us?
まあいいけど、全然。
After everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this
まあ
anymore.
上から
The hell
出
with
て
it.
きてるから。
Restart.
うん。
リスター
これ、
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
リスタートって意味知ってるんかな？大丈夫かな？全然違うけど、さっきと。
Yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new
あ、なん
path.
か、一緒に旅しちゃってるやん、も
What do you want our
よろし
story
く
to
な。
be?
う。幸せハッピーエンドで行こうぜ。
Use your imagination. Whatever it might be,
どうどう
Stanley,
ど
I'm ready for it.
う。レディーしてる。いいじゃん。
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
同じようなとこ、うわー。
A choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control.
一緒に決めようじゃ。
How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think
いらないで
here.
す、そんなものは。
Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going?
左やって。
And since the answer is clearly
左やっ
yes,
て。
then
左がい
the door on
い
the。right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
左は混乱エンド。
混乱エンド。
Oh, hold up, what's this?
おー、一緒じゃん、こんなん。
The confusion ending. You're
混
telling
乱エ
me
ンドですね。
that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
めっちゃ打ち解けてるやん、なんか知らんけど、慣れた後。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
あ、しっかり開いてる。あ、でも。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
ここめっちゃ好き。
The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Nanda?
開くんや、あそこ。
開くんや、こ
こもじゃ開いたりするの。置いた。
置いた。
おい、どういう絵飾ってんねん。押せるこれ。
これ見たことないわ。
あ、すごい音楽が陽気な感じ。
楽しげな音楽が鳴っております。
すんげえ登るくない？
ナレーターは何にも言いません。
すんげえ登るけど。 大丈夫そう？何回まで行くんこれ。
動いてる？動いてるか。
動いてる、震えてるし。スカイツリーやん、こんなん。いた。マジこれ。
どういう空間？エレベーターに見せかけた音楽を聴く空間。
しかもボタン押したらちゃんと止まるようになってるわ。マジか。
知らんもんあったな。
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad, Stanley pushes some buttons.
Oh,
Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Cancel, please.
押してないって。
ショートカット。
押してないけど。
なんとかかんとか。
じゃあここもショートカットしてもらっていいですかね。ああ。何やったんさっきの空間。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his
そんなことある？
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
落ちるってことこれ。そんな言うんやったら帰るけれども。そんな言うんやったら帰るけれどもさ。ドアなかったもんな、確かここ。
But of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too much to live for.
考え直したな、スタンリー。
考え直したで。RT ゾーン。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
絶対ここ最後のオンオフまで一本見ちゃうもんな。
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible... Oh, Stanley, you
いや、今さ、なんか止めないとって言われる前にオフをしたかったけど、始まったから、もうええわと思って、これにした。
Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes.
Whoa.
Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees.
Oh, dear me,
what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? One solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first. So you... That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big no ending here. Just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your friend, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or it's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment you fade in until the moment I say happily ever up.
Hello. This is a recorded message scheduled either by you or a person in your place of work. The purpose of this message is to warn you about the dangers of recorded messages. If at any time you believe you are listening to
諦めが。
わからんかった。
わからんな。
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
暗い。
なんか遊園地のアトラクションみたいなの始まったけど。
これ。
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable.
あるよな、こういうなんかさ、行く先が、壁じゃんと思ったら。
I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
動かへんけど、このエレベーター。
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
白くねー。あ
All right.
Jump
All
cycle.
right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
なんでやってみる。
音無駄にリアルやな。あ、もうジャンプできひん。ジャンプできひんわ。あ？え？
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content.
あれ？
There has to be something else, right? Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
オフィスっぽい。Thank you for enjoying. あ、終わったで。
That's it? Are you kidding me? You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says Test achievement, please ignore. What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
友よ。友よ。 ともよ、もう一回頑張ろうじゃ。おい、どこやねん。
なんか、
あれ
正規ルートの絵画が。
ともよ。
In the vent. I want to show you something.
ともよ。どうしたん？落ちるじゃね？これ落ちるくね？とも
Oh, you don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork anyway, so who cares?
何
Oh, never mind. You're not.
おい、手のひら返すんちゃうとも、おい。これ落ちるくない？
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
すごい。すごいやん。
めちゃくちゃ言うと。
すごいじゃん。
いいな。
あそこピアノっぽいのある。ピアノ。
ボーカルが入ってきた。
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art. Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created. Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now, a lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
お、すげえ、ここ。かな。
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
あ、いた。
ニューコンテンツ、ボロクソに言う。
あっち行けないんだね。じゃあ変えるしかないってことね。
These were simpler times, Stanley. What I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam. The online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
開いた
ー。低評価されてるで。
See, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Funny? I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I can write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
でもこういうなんかちょっと大敗してる感じもすごい好きやで。
スチームのレビュー。あ、また
Okay,
低評
let's see
価が。
what this one says.
こっち一応グッ
While
ド
the
レ
idea
コメン
for
ドあ
the
るって。
game is good,
yeah.
for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I?
あ、でも一回なんかうざかったけどな。行こうとしたら壁閉じられたところあたりはちょっとあーって思ったけど。いいけどな、全然いいんだけどね、別に。
You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and
ど
airy
こが
as
開くんだ、
it...
こ
Well,
れ。
I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise
さっきめっちゃ
unimpeachable
良かった
track
な、さっきの
record.
ところすごい。なんかキラキラで、キラキラというか
Like a failure.
自然豊かな感じで。
Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered. What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button.
こんな締め方ある？
Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto. And it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
スキップボタンが導入されるらしい。
やったー。これか。
And here it is. Go ahead. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary... Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out? Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours.
Stanley.
You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really... Oh, Stanley.
暗くなってる。
You're back. Oh my goodness. I have someone to talk to again.
枯れてるやん。
Stanley, I think it's been
1週間ぶりやって。
or 2 weeks. Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about
どうする？
our
出られへんで、
symbiotic
でもこれ。
ともとも。
え？
何あれ？
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entered.
怖このエンディング。何これ？
エンディングとかそっか。
エンディング。
The end is never the end is never.
いや、怖っ。
ごめん。押さん方がよかったな。ごめんな。押さん方がよかったね。こんな教室となんかもう押しすぎじゃないかなみたいな。気持ちになってしまうんですよね。マジで出れへん感じ？
いや、そのうち終わると思うけどな。
おー、壊れてる
ー。一応時間は進んでるのか。
うん。お、すげえ光が。
完全に。
光が漏れている。わーすごい
時が経っている。何年経ったんや、これ。
あ、荒廃した。
うわ、逆に何が起こった？何の音？
わからん。
あ、スキップボタンも倒れてた。うわ、なんもなくなってる。核戦争でも起きたんか。
何年後これ。なんかすごい音楽が流れてる。
あれの建物、そもそも水から生えてきた建物やったよな。
そうやった。
水の中から。
で、なんか音楽すごくない？
あ、
どこに向かってか全然わからへん、これ。これ、ここスキップ押す押さんとかもあるんかな？
あれ押さんかったらどのぐらい喋り続けるんやろうな。いっちゃん最初で押さんかったら、いや押さんのかーいとか言いそうやけど。
終わった。
終わった。
戻った。
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken. No, the orders were still missing. For now.
Neon になってる。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Here's the door, just...
ありがとうございます。
早っ。部屋入る前からゴゴゴゴって動いてたしな。
これナレーター前の記憶あるんやんな。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
前の記憶っていうか、さあ入ってみたいな感じやったよ。
ああ、確かにね。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
これは何をすべく向かっているんですか？
普通に幸せになろうと思って。
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them,
ぱっと見気づかんやろうなみたいな分岐がいくつか思い出せるやつはあるけど。
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that... blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Oh.
なんか特に謎とか解き明かしてはおらんけどさ、
うん。
なんか個人的にさっきのなんかギフボタンのあったやん。
はいはい。
あそこ見るって結構満足したかなとは思うねんけど。
オッケーオッケー。
あそこ良くなかっためっちゃ。
いや、面白かったな、あれ。
あそこすごい、手前のさ、自然豊かなあたりとかすごい、いや、めっちゃいいやんってなって。
うんうんうん。じゃあ、綺麗なエンディングと今のハッピーエンドで終わりということにしますか？
そうしますか。なんかパッとなんやろ、いけそうな分岐は結構いったかなって思ったんやけど。
うん。一応、今エンディング一覧を眺めているけど。なんか、ヒント出そう思ったら出せるし、いや、満足って感じやったらもう終わろう。
まあなんか、あれかな。一旦このなんか、配信的に、あれかな。なんかヒントとかはなく、こう好きにやって満足して終わりの方が綺麗かなと思うので、終わろうかな。
OK です。はい。
はい。ってな感じで。いや、あれめちゃめちゃ良かったなと、個人的に。
ね、
あの風景すごい良かった。うん。
初めて見るエンディングやったし。
あ、そうなんや。
うん。いや、新コンテンツや、あれ。
あ、
追加されたやつ。
そう
そうそうそう。
まあ、多分置いたところをもう一回行くとかいろいろあるんやろうけど、一旦まあ、 か新コンテンツ見れたし終わろうかな、じゃあ。
オッケ
ー。いい感じ。楽しかったです。ありがとうございます。
よかったです。私も面白かったです。
よかったです。ありがとうございます、かなた、本当に。
シンプルに面白かった。いいゲームなんですよ。
まあね、多分全然回収してないやついっぱいあると思うんで、また、やっときます、裏で。見ながら何々と。はい。ありがとうございました。
はい。ありがとうございます。
では、お疲れ様です。ありがとうございました。
はい、お疲れ様でした。ムさんもお疲れ様でした。
お疲れ様です。